Hello and nice to meet you, although only virtually for now. I am Dr. Francesca Fiori and I am the Director of Postgraduate Taught Programs at the Department of Social Work and Social Policy. And I'm really pleased to tell you more about one of the programs you might be considering signing up to, our MSc in Social Policy, with or without research methods. So the MSc in Social Policy and the MSc in Social Policy with research methods are part of a suite of programs in the broader field of social policy that we offer in our department. These other programs include the MSc in International Social Welfare, the MSc in Health and Social Policy, the new MSc in Public Health and Social Innovation, and the MSc in Criminology and Social Policy. So you might want to have a look at the videos for those programs as well. So all these programs, they share some common aim. They kind of fall within the broad area of social policy, and they share some common aims. In particular, they all intend to develop and enhance the students' knowledge and understanding of people's social living experiences, the factors that shape them, and the way into which societies, policymakers, and practitioners respond to these problems and to these issues. And moreover, the programs intend to develop some understanding and knowledge of a variety of different approaches to social research and social theory, which are common in social sciences, which is concerned with policy and practice. In addition to that, all our programs also intend to develop academic and transferable skills, such as being able to identify, critically appraise, synthesize, and communicate research findings that are concerned with social policy and social welfare issues. But then, what it is that makes the MSc in Social Policy unique, and so why would you want to choose these over the other programs? Well, the MSc in Social Policy allows students to learn about a larger variety of social policies issues, drawing from the expertise of staff in the department in areas that cover social welfare, health policy, population change and migration, criminology. And students on this program really learn how all these aspects of social experiences of people intersect, and they learn about the process of policy making in these areas. If you are thinking about joining our MSc in Social Policy with the research methods. So these programs share much of the common core modules with the previous program. However, it's quite distinctive in that it's been approved by the Economic and Social Research Council of the UK as a PG, postgraduate level training in social science research methods, which means it's the type of training that you will need to receive, and this has been formally accredited if you wanted to continue on your PhD journey. And in addition to the kind of substantive areas of interest which I've already covered, this program builds on the department's strong expertise in a critical use of a variety of research methods, such as qualitative research methods, quantitative data and research methods, participatory approaches. So students learn about these methods and they have a chance to apply them to real-world examples, both for their coursework, but most importantly, for their dissertation. What are some of the key issues that will be covered by the modules taught in the program? Well, some of the key questions that we will ask and we'll try and give an answer to together would be, how do social policies and social policies in the area of employment, of the economy, of social security, housing and crime shape people outcomes across different life domains? And why do we need to go beyond silos approaches and consider integrated policy approaches to tackle what are complex, multidimensional, wicked problems? And what can we learn from kind of international evidence-based and by comparative policy and social welfare system, and what goes on in other contexts which are different from the one we are more familiar with? Those of you who would have a particular kind of strong focus on the research methods then would also address questions such as, how do we engage critically with existing data to understand the social policy issue? How do we conduct primary research on social policy issues in ethical and socially just ways? How do we use the methods that we know of to monitor and evaluate the impact of policies on people's lives? How can the public shape policies and practices, and what is the research role in all this? So I hope you're already feeling some excitement at the thought of what you could learn, and then where could you apply all your learning in life after the MSc? Well, these are some of the graduate destinations. So students that have graduated from our programs, they went on to take on policy roles, advocacy roles, practice roles, or research roles. So some of our students want to work with the Scottish government or other local government or at the kind of more national level. And in issues, in areas, in policy areas such as health, housing, social security. Other students are working in the third sector, in non-governmental organizations, for example, the British Heart Foundation or NCD Alliance. Others have taken more kind of frontline, practice-based roles in health and care support services. And others, particularly those who enrolled in the MSc Social Policy with research methods, they continue their studies at postgraduate levels, transitioning to a PhD, here in Strathclyde with us, or also in other universities across the UK and the world. What we do relies strongly on the kind of networks and links and connection that we have with other research partners, as well as practice and third sectors organization. And we bring this connection to life within the masters by inviting people to give guest lecture, or by providing opportunity to students to engage directly on their placement modules or dissertation with partners, with external partners from the local government or third sector organization. So these are very much MSc that provide practice, real world experience with a lot of opportunity for networking and start building your connection for when we'll transition out of the MSc and into the labor market. Okay, I suppose at this stage you might want to know a little bit more about the program structure. So you kind of decided that you would love to sign up for this master. So what you should expect? So if you're taking this master as a full-time student, then you're expected to complete it within 12 months. So 1 year, over the course of 1 year. You start in September, and by August you would have submitted your dissertation and you'll have completed the program. Teaching happens over 2 semesters. Semester 1, which runs between September and December, and semester 2, which runs between January and March. Over the spring-summer period, then you work independently towards your dissertation. So students that are registered as full-time students take 3 modules for a total of 60 credits in semester 1. 3 modules for a total of 60 credits in semester 2, and then they work towards the 60 credits of their dissertation in spring-summer. So each module is worth 20 credits. You need to total 120 credits of taught modules, 60 per semester, and then you do a further 6 credits towards the dissertation. So in order to get your MSc degree, you need to achieve a total of 180 credits. We also have some kind of other awards that require a smaller number of credits, PG certificate and PG diploma, if you get up to 60 credits or 120 credits. So that's something that you might also want to consider if you feel the work towards an MSc might be perhaps too much for you. If you're doing this program part-time, then we would expect you to take 3 modules in year 1 and 3 modules in year 2, with the dissertation also happening primarily in year 2, although you can start some of the preparation work towards the dissertation earlier on, and we will encourage you to do that and to engage with the dissertation process earlier on so that it's spread out across both years rather than concentrating in the summer of your second year. So part-time students have a little bit of wiggle room to choose the number of modules per semester. They can take 1 module in the first semester and 2 in the second semester, depending on their other kind of demands and commitments with work, care responsibilities, or whatever is kind of preventing them from engaging full-time with the program. But they have to take 3 modules in year 1 and 3 modules in year 2. So all the programs in the Department of Social Work and Social Policy share a similar structure in principle. They consist of a bunch of core modules and some elective modules. Core modules means that these are foundational modules for your degree, and all students registered on a program must take them in order to attain their degree. Now, if you sign up to the MSc in Social Policy, your foundational modules are clearly kind of an introduction to the key concepts and ideas and methods for social policy. And so you'll be taking welfare concept and ideas and perspective on social research in semester 1, and then you'll be taking comparative welfare and social policy in semester 2. You're also required to choose 1 from 2 methods option. So you can either go down a quantitative methods route, so learning how to use statistics and statistical software to analyze data, or then the qualitative methods route if you've got an interest in participatory approach, qualitative methods of data collection such as focus group or interviews, or to do desk-based research such as literature review or archival research. If you are one of our students in the MSc Social Policy with research methods, given the kind of stronger focus and stronger emphasis on methods training on the program, you are required to take both, so both quantitative and qualitative methods. Now you could see from the slide that we offer 2 versions of quantitative methods. One is taught in-house in our department in semester 2. The other one is taught by government and public policy staff in semester 1. Why would you choose one over the other? Well, it mostly depends on what other electives are you interested in for like your fuller curriculum and when these electives are on offer. So we give you a little bit of flexibility by allowing you to take quantitative methods either in semester 1 or semester 2. However, I would say that I probably strongly recommend students to consider the one that is offered in-house, simply because the data we use, the example case studies that we use on that module relate more to the type of social issues and problems that you might be interested in if you are taking a social policy degree. The other kind of foundational component of the program is the dissertation that takes place over the summer. And we offer currently 2 different routes to dissertation, although I should probably say 3, but I think 2 will do for now. One traditional dissertation in social policy, and the placement-based dissertation. And I'll provide some more information into that. But you'll be able to choose between these two different routes, and what probably works better for you also depends on what are your career aspiration and your plans for after the degree. But we'll help you to make this choice when the moment comes. So by taking your core modules, you are basically totaling 80 credits if you are an MSc Social Policy, and 100 credits if you are an MSc Social Policy with research methods, which leaves you with the option to choose 2 more electives module or 1 elective module depending on the program you're in. So elective modules are modules that are on offer either in our department and are maybe core modules for students in other programs, or that are offered by other departments in our faculty, and that might be relevant to your research interests and future career aspirations. So you've got some room here to explore topics and areas of social policy that you might be particularly interested in. So we give you some flexibility to tailor your curriculum around your needs and your interest. And this is the full list of elective modules that are currently on offer in each semester. Now, be aware that the kind of final list might change by the time you sign up to the program, because sometimes it might depend on staff availability. Some staff might be on research leave and might not be offering the module on a given year, and it also depends on student number. So when students number registered to a particular module are really low, then the faculty might decide not to run it. But in principle, these are modules that have always been running, so I would say I'm pretty confident that they will be on offer when you sign up, although of course, there might be a chance that some of them will not be available, but there might be others that will be available by the time you sign up. So just be aware of this problem. In general, all modules that start with L8 or L5 are offered by our own department, and because they are shared across program, they are very likely to run every year. Okay, so I've definitely convinced you in signing up for this program. You know more or less what to expect in terms of what you will receive from us in terms of taught programs. I suspect at this stage you might want to know how is teaching going to happen, and most importantly, how will you be assessed on your learning. So all our teaching happens in person on campus. So these are fully in-person on-campus taught programs. We meet in lecture halls, seminar rooms, labs, depending on the nature of the learning that is taking place, and including using some of the room in our kind of fancier and most shining building like the Teaching and Learning Center. There might be optional session over and above the kind of core timetable classes that might take place with your module leads, program leads, or with a supervisor. Some of them will take place on campus, some of them might take place online. Your typical session will last 2 hours, where the first hour is usually a lecture given by the expert, so either your module lead or a guest lecturer. And this is then followed by an hour more interactive student-led type of seminar. And the format of this seminar might vary. It might be students giving presentation, it might be students doing some group work, it might be class debates. It really varies. It depends on the subject, depends on the topic, depends on your lecturer teaching style. While all the learning, core learning takes place on campus, we also offer supplementary material online. Stracklight has an online platform which is called My Place, which might be similar to what you experience in your own institution before joining Stracklight if you're joining us from other places such as Moodle or Blackboard, depending on where you did your universities. But it's essentially a virtual learning space with a page for each module you are registered to, plus perhaps other pages for additional resources, which provides all the information that you require for the modules you take, including lecture slides, reading, assignment guidance, useful videos, etc. So we'll do our best to make sure you are familiar with My Place and you engage with My Place. You'll receive notification every time something is posted on My Place. So there will be no way of not engaging with this virtual teaching space that will help you throughout your studies. So in terms of assessment format, well, we use a real mix of assessments to try and build and strengthen your transferable skills. You are unlikely to sit exams, certainly not for modules that are taught in our department. There might be some modules taught by other departments that still requires you to sit an exam. For us, it's mostly coursework, so you'll be told what you need to do, and you'll be given up to 2 weeks usually to work towards the assessment, and then you'll submit the assessment online. And as I said, it's a mixed range. So you might be asked to write essay or pieces of critical policy analysis. You might do work individually or might do group work. Sometimes you do a combination of individual and group work towards the same module. You might work towards more creative outputs such as podcast or policy briefing or giving a presentation. You might be asked to answer essay question or to review literature, often from a critical point of view and perspective. Typically, most modules will require 2 pieces of assessment that then contribute to your final score. And we do this so that you get some timely feedback on your first assessment before working towards your second assessment. And hopefully that will improve your chances of securing high grades. In addition to the taught modules that I've briefly introduced, we also provide a series of workshops to equip you with the skills and tools that are needed to succeed in the program. So fear not, particularly if you're returning to education after a long break, or if you are coming from a non-social science degree, or if you're coming from a different country, a different education context, and you might feel a bit insecure about the skills that you need to succeed. Not worry at all, because we will spend a good chunk of the first few weeks in semester 1 working towards making sure that you've built your skills and tools to succeed in the program. So in week 1, we'll offer a workshop on how to use the library, how to find in literature for academic assignment, how to read towards an assignment, how to write an essay in kind of academic tone and format and style, how to engage with proofing, referencing, and avoiding any temptation to plagiarize the work of somebody else, as well as making you aware of all the strengths, but most importantly, the pitfalls of the use and misuse of GenAI tools. Okay, so I think by now you've got a fair idea of what will happen on this program, but you haven't met anyone yet, except for me. So I just want to give you a quick introduction to some of our key staff members and an introduction to the module they teach on the program. But then hopefully you'll join us and you'll get to meet them and see how lovely, how prepared, how caring, how expert they are in this subject and how passionate they are in the subject they are going to teach you. So you met me. I'm Francesca, I'm the PGT director, but I'm also the program lead for the social policy program, as well as a few other MSc program. Another key figure that you will meet and have a chance to also be taught from will be Professor Neil Quinn, which is our head of department. And here are some of our, actually all the staff members that are involved in teaching one way or another on this program. And you see that we are a real multidisciplinary team across all career stages and working in very different fields within the kind of broad social policy realm. We've got health and social inequalities expert, we've got people that work on the politics of migration, population change, gender-based violence, children and young people, criminology and social justice. So a wide range of expertise that you get to learn from. Let me now introduce some of the key modules, of the core modules for this program. One of them is L8925, Comparative Welfare and Social Policy, which is taught by Dr. Chris Deeming. And this module explores why some countries are more unequal than others and what is the role that social policy can play in this. And the kind of underlying kind of rationale for this is that it's really impossible to understand one country if we don't place it in context and we don't see how it varies from other. So this module has a clear global comparative focus and will appeal to those of you who are probably coming from different contexts and want to understand how the UK social policy and social welfare context, which is perhaps new to you, fits with a kind of broader and global context, but be equally relevant for those of you who are coming from a UK background and want to learn more about the bigger picture. And you can read some of the lovely comments that the students made towards Chris' teaching. So I'm sure you'll be delighted to join this module. So your other core modules will be welfare concept and ideas, which might be taught by Dr. Dan Heap or Dr. Melanie McCarry. And this module really is an introduction to all things social policy, as it explores some of the key concepts such as needs, rights, equality, citizenship, and social justice, using a range of kind of both classic and more contemporary and critical theoretical perspective. Students really love this module. They particularly like the strong gender equalities focus. They like the way lecturers have approached some of the topics, and they really like the kind of its foundational nature and the fact that it kind of set the stage for their future learning. Your third core module will be Perspective on Social Research, which explores research ethics, methods, and research design, and really equips you students with the skills to conduct your research in a critical and reflexive way. Dr. Emalina Kakela is the module lead for this module, although I also teach on it, and it was really lovely to see the positive comments that some of the students made towards our teaching and the passion that we try and share with the class. I think what students particularly appreciate from this module is Emalina's interest in critical perspective, such as feminism and anti-racism, that we bring into the module, brought from a more kind of qualitative and participatory perspective, but also from a quantitative perspective, which is often blamed for being perhaps less critical and paying less attention to issues of power in data. Here are also your two methods module, quantitative methods taught by Professor Marian Anderson, and qualitative methods, which is instead taught by staff members in government and public policy. So quantitative methods will introduce you to kind of quantitative statistical methods using real data set and policy and practice examples, and again will engage in that kind of critical reflexive process of considering pros and cons of different methods. Whereas qualitative methods will provide an overview of qualitative methods in social and political science, and you'll be exposed to a range of guest lectures and different methodological approaches. So these modules hopefully will provide a good foundation for then embarking into your dissertation work later on in the year. And now talking about your options for dissertations a little bit more in detail. So there are two main dissertation pathways for you. You could either do a standard kind of traditional dissertation in social policy or a placement-based dissertation. So they both are worth 60 credits of your final mark, so it is a big undertaking, and they both take place more or less between spring to August, with perhaps some more preparation in advance of that for the placement-based dissertation from the beginning of the year. But what do they involve? So you're probably familiar with the concept, the idea of a traditional research dissertation, as you might have done one for your undergraduate studies. And this would be the option that you probably would be more interested in if you are interested in a research career and move into a PhD. And it will be quite a big undertaking, as I said, 12,000 words, and there'll be a piece of independent research that you will conduct yourself under the guidance of your supervisor, but you'll be the lead of this research work. Alternatively, you might want to do a placement-based dissertation, and there will be two routes on offer for doing a placement-based dissertation. One that involves going out into the external world and working with partners in like practice or policy organization or with another academic research team. And another one which involves remaining within the remit of Strathclyde, being closely supervised by some of our department staff member, but still getting access to real world curated data set. So data set that might have been either prepared by members of the department for their own research activities or as a result of their own research, or data set that have been provided by external partners who don't have the capacity to supervise you, but are very keen on their data set and to be. These are some of the organizations with which we currently have links with, and these are some of the organizations where our students have been on placement in the past. So these are some of the opportunities, although you're also very welcome to bring your own ideas and to help us activate other connections. And if you want to learn more about previous students' experience on placement, I'll definitely recommend that you have a look at the webpage provided here on this slide, and you also look for the video on TikTok where Leonard, one of our past students, talk about his placement experience in Shoko in South Africa, and it might inspire you about some of the work you might be doing while on placement for your dissertation. This is all from me, and I really look forward to welcoming you to the Department of Social Work and Social Policy. I'm really sure you will enjoy spending a year with us and learning in such a diverse and friendly environment. So I look forward to welcoming you next year.